care, let it be.
Look, I don't want to be negative, really don't want to be negative, but there's something about looking outside, even when it's sunny, and it's just gray and white. Like, there's just something about it. If you live somewhere where there's winter like this, you'll get it. But compared to the summer, like, trees dead, like, it just sucks. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another startup vlog. This week we got a couple things we have to do. We have to set up the Stripe integration, finish up the pricing, pretty much pricing models, get that all finalized. And like, there was even a thing I was confused, or I wasn't sure what to do with like free trials and free plans. And then also finish up the private spaces, which is almost done. There's just a few things I have to tweak. But to catch you up from last week, I was supposed to upload a video last week, but since I was gone, I wasn't home for like the whole week. So I would have had like one day to record. There wouldn't have been a lot to update on. So I just skipped the video and then just kind of combined last week and this week, even though last week, not that much work got done because I wasn't home. But regardless, this was kind of the main things. There was a couple other things that I already did last week, but just smaller things. The main things is getting these private boards set up, setting up the space icons, and then the whole Stripe integration, which it's been a very long time since I've done a Stripe integration, so that'll be very interesting to see how to do it again. And I did it in React this time, and now I did it in React last time, and then this time I'm doing it in Next. So I think there's a lot more resources online doing it next, which might be the good thing, but I haven't done it before. So not really sure what to expect there. Also sitting on a new chair. So this was actually the first chair that I had a while ago, but it broke. Like this something in here snapped. So then the seat would just fall back. Like it was pretty much broken. You couldn't use it. Luckily there was a warranty. I think I submitted the request in June or July for the warranty, and they finally shipped it out last week, and I got it this week. So if you ever are thinking about getting a Vertigear chair, honestly, it came fast as I got off Amazon, but the warranty and the support, absolutely horrible. You can see like on Reddit, there's horror stories about people not getting their thing for literally years. So it took me luckily only 6-7 months, something like that. So yeah, anyways, it's so much more comfy than the one I had before. It doesn't look the best because honestly, like racing chairs kind of look pretty outdated now, but just for the comfort, and my lower back doesn't scream in this one like my other one. So kind of hyped about that. So pretty much everything's working so far for the private spaces. Like basically I had this form already created, but I didn't have anything for the role permissions. So basically now you can pretty much, it renders out all the roles, which I'm thinking about making these custom because some use cases they want to have like more than these two roles, maybe assign different users different roles, whatever. But for now, I'm only sticking with like user and paid. So like the idea is you can have paid like spaces and stuff that are only visible or postable for paid users. And then just regular, this is just regular user / anonymous user. But now you can control which one can see and post. So like for announcements, for example, everyone can see, but no one can post. And then I made it so admins and owners, you can't control, because I feel like if you are an admin or owner, it just makes sense to always be able to see and post on anything, because that's the whole point of being an admin or owner. So yeah, now this all works properly. The only thing I have to set up is that I don't have a redirect. So like say if this was private, say this was a paid only board or space, and you just went to the URL, like you wouldn't be able to see it on the front end as like a regular user, but you would still be able to just go to the URL and it would still see. So I'm gonna have to add in probably something in the middleware to either check that or just do something to redirect them away from that, just so you can't even get to that page. And then I also just want to do another check, because when you create new posts, when you're just a regular user, you can't see the spaces that you're not supposed to, because you can't create posts in those. But what I want to do, obviously you should do this, is when I'm creating the post in my API route, I want to just do a check to make sure that they actually had the proper permissions to check, just in case if anything's altered here, at least it does that check on the server side, which is pretty crucial to have whenever you're doing anything role-based. But it did take me a while to figure out the best way to kind of handle the whole role or space permissions, because I didn't have it set up. I had just basic role or basic space. Everyone could see every space is basically how I had it set up to begin with. So the kind of way I went about this, because I didn't really want to change too much of the implementation that I already had, So I just added a space permissions table. And basically how this works is when a space is created, it creates like a row for all the roles besides admin and owners. And then it just has 2 flags. So like can see, can post, false with the role and the space. And then there's a unique like constraint for the space ID and the role. So there can only be 2 or however many roles there are. There can only be that many number for each space. And then it has the permissions. And when you update it, it just pretty much upserts with the space ID and the role with the new values. So that's pretty much how that's handled. And then when I read the spaces, I'm pretty much just joining this to find out if the user's role is in the can see or whatever. And then if they can, there's a lot of complications like that goes into the logic, but I got it working. So yeah, the next thing I have to just do is focus on the redirects and then that extra check for when you actually submit posts in the API route. So yeah, this was my first time pretty much setting up any permissions like this. So I don't know if it was the best way to go about it, but I think it's okay to start with at least. I don't want to change too much later on, but it is set up so that in the future I could easily just create a new table about custom roles and then just choose those roles to render, and then all the roles, then it'll render all the custom roles that each project has. Anyways, it's just about 9 a.m. right now, so going to get some work done, get the work day out of the way, and then I might have to do a run later on, but then after that we'll be able to get a good chunk of this done. And I want to get the private board stuff done quickly because the Stripe integration is going to take probably quite a long time. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next update. We're supposed to be getting so much snow. Like I think, I mean, we already have so much, but like what's a little bit more, right? I think we're getting like over a foot and a half. Where I used to live, I'm near Toronto right now, but where I used to live in Ottawa was like they're getting like 2 feet, 2 to 3 feet. So it's gonna be a crazy storm. I kind of like it when it's like if it snows and it snows heavy and like really badly where you can't leave your house. It's kind of nice because it's like you have an excuse not to leave and you can just get all cozy. But yeah, anyways, I think it's gonna be like the whole rest of the week is gonna be snow. So I'm not looking forward to multiple days of it, but. All right, check this out. Time lapse of the whole workday, or the morning of it, until lunch. Time lapse until lunch. Okay, workday is complete. Just wanted to talk quickly about the pricing plans, and I think there's always been a big debate around free trials or even free plans. I think it obviously depends completely on the product. It depends on if you have a product that needs mass adoption, or if it makes sense for your product to have a free plan. I think that's the best way to go about it. But if it doesn't make sense, it could end up like eating up your overhead. Like if free users are just using your free plan and never upgrading, like that's when it becomes a problem. Because pretty much across the board, free trials is basically a free plan for serious people. So if they're actually serious about it, they're going to stick around. There's one app that I think has a really great idea, or at least thought process behind their pricing, and it's just called Orchestra. Pretty much like digital agencies, productized services. It's pretty much a board or a tool for them to manage their clients. So they can have a bunch of clients, then they can have all the clients' requests in like pretty much like Trello, but it has their own boards. And basically how they do their pricing is it's free until your first customer. Because I guess the idea is if you're just starting out and you have no clients, obviously you won't be able to justify paying a monthly fee if you don't even have any money coming in. So at least this gets pretty much, you get full access to the tool, and then you don't have to pay for it until you get your first client, because then you have the money from the client. It's easier to justify. Which just makes, I think, user adoption much, much easier. And then if it is free initially, they've already like adopted their tool to use this tool for their clients. And in my mind, it's like a win-win. If you get a client and then now you have to pay for the tool, but it's like, okay, well, I just made the money from the client and I can now justify it. So I wanted to use a similar approach with that for Echospace, because this is I'm still redesigning this, but this is kind of where I started. And here there's really no free plan, but it got me thinking, because I want to keep the pricing really cheap, because the problem I have with all these feedback tools is obviously like I have my own spin on it, but they are just so expensive. So I want to keep them cheap, but then it also got me thinking, kind of piggybacking off of Orchestra, if I'm targeting solo developers and like smaller teams, I think it kind of has the same issue where, say you're just starting out, you don't have any like customers, like you're just launching your first SaaS product, no customers yet. It's going to be hard to pay, and honestly you shouldn't want to pay for a feedback tool when you don't even have any customers of your own, because what's the point in having a feedback tool up if you don't even have any feedback coming in? It doesn't make any sense. So I'm thinking of having another plan here, which is just literally the completely free plan, very limited, but the idea behind it would be that you could do everything you need to do as like one person launching your own products. And then let's say it's limited by like X amount of feedback posts, because then I think the correlation could be drawn to, if you're getting like, let's say 50, 100 feedback requests, chances are you have at least a couple paying users. And then now you can justify paying to keep the feedback platform on. And then you can just upgrade and scale up from there. So I think this is a good example of something. Both of these are actually good examples of how to do free plans. I think if they're done properly, if you make your free plan too generous, if your goal isn't for mass adoption, like using community to like market and grow organically through word of mouth and all that, if your goal isn't that, I think doing a free plan that's limited enough so you don't have people just using the free plan forever and never converting. But basically, if someone's using your product and then they're actually seeing success in their field, it makes sense to like hold off that payment until they're actually seeing some success, because then it just comes down to you're almost like leeching off people doing what you're trying to do, but taking advantage of it, you know? So I think this makes, not only does it seem more ethical, but it also just kind of seems, it's just more fair, because like I said, the last thing you want to do is pay for a feedback app and you have no feedback coming in. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's probably the plan for this. Get a nice, basic, limited, free tier. Pretty much good for one developer, limited, less features. But then if you want to scale up, you have this plan, and then for bigger teams too, because just more limits, and I want to have obviously the opportunity to scale. And then there's this limited offer where I think it's good to have limited lifetime offers for like launching. So this, I probably would keep it really limited, like not even 10 people maybe, but then just have that, like it would be the max plan for life, just because that's like a no-brainer offer. Like if that's 20 a month or whatever, 100 once, don't have to worry about feedback at all ever again. It's a pretty good deal. But I'm still going to do some more thinking on it. I think that's the way to go in my case, just because if the angle is solo developers, smaller teams, like just having that initial, get the foot in the door, it's not going to be like actually costing on my end if they're going to be using it in that tier, because the limits are going to be low enough where it won't even be noticeable. And then as they start scaling, it makes sense to then upgrade. So I don't know. Okay, I am happy to announce the space permissions or private spaces are all fully set up now. The redirect's in place. You can edit all of them now. And then there's a check when you create posts that you can't do it unless you're a member of it. Okay, I just want to talk about something really quickly. I would promise it will not be too long. But I think, like, especially if you're feeling like you're just kind of a lot of doubt, you're losing motivation or whatever, I think you just have to keep reminding yourself that if you want to do something, doesn't matter what it is. If you want to do something and you're really passionate about doing it and you have a really strong drive to do it, like you will 100% be able to do it. I think a lot of people will use the excuse of like, and especially all the people around you will be like, oh, like things are too saturated, or, oh, it's going to be hard to do this. It's like, no, first of all, no shit, it's going to be hard. And if it's saturated, that's just, I think this whole saturation excuse, the whole saturation excuse is literally just that. It's just an excuse. Like, of course, being saturated means there's more competition, but every industry is saturated. Like, it makes no sense to use that as an excuse not to pursue something, because everything you do is going to be saturated. And if you take a look at the quality of actual competition, like 80% plus, maybe even like up to 85%, maybe even 90% are complete garbage. So you're already, like, just by being good, you can already set yourself ahead of the competition. And I think it's easy to like get discouraged about that, but then it's like comes down to, if you're not seeing the results, like you just need to put some more time in and get better at it. And that's all it is. I just find it so funny when people, especially if it's like your friends or family or just people around you, like if you have like a I guess, a dream or passion to go after something, everyone's so quick to think of the negatives. It's like, oh, that's such a big risk. That's it's so saturated. It's so hard to get into, or it's like that ship has sailed. It's like, if people have done it before, clearly it's possible. All you have to do is put work into it and expect it to take longer. It's gonna longer than you think it's gonna take, but eventually, if you put genuine effort into something, there's no way it will not pay off, or at least lead you down another route that you're more passionate about. Like, there's no losing to just chasing it. There's no way to lose. But people will either talk themselves out of it, or let their friends and family talk themselves out of it. And I think everyone who says, oh, it's saturated or it's hard, like, it's risky, like, that's not a good decision, you should just stick to the safe route, is always people that are living lives that they created for themselves that they hate. Because it's like, when they say, oh yeah, it's too saturated, or no, that won't work out, it's just justifying to them why they're okay with living such a mediocre life. If you want to actually live a life that you're not only proud of, but one you're actually happy to live, you have to be willing to take some risks, but even just go after it. Don't literally tunnel vision on the goal. Like, not so much where you're making stupid decisions, but the whole point of it is to block out all that external noise and just go for it. Like, just literally go for it. See what happens. Take in feedback. Don't be so fixated on achieving this that you ignore the vital signs. Keep an open mind, but ignore all the noise. The only thing that matters is that you're doing something you actually care about, and you're working and you're getting better at it over time. So yeah, that's the quick rant. But just because I think that's a big issue that I see even around me with people, that if you're kind of an outlier where you have completely different goals than everyone around you, you will be seen as everyone just seems like they're against it. Even if they don't say it, it's almost just the energy. They could say, yeah, oh yeah, good luck. But you know that in their mind, they think it's either you're going to fail or they think you're crazy. Don't let that discourage you. You have to block that out. I know it's hard, especially if you're surrounded by them all the time, but you have to block that out, and just know, if you lock in and just go for something, anything you want to do, you have the full power to achieve it. And just seeing how other people have got what you want to do or want to achieve is all the proof you need that it is possible. If they can do it, why can't you do it, right? As cliche as that sounds, it's the only proof you have to listen to, honestly. Yeah, it's just before 9. I'm gonna get some food. The interview's at 1, so I'm gonna do some work for the job until the interview, do the interview, and then I'm gonna update you guys after the interview to see how it went. I might be really I might be bummed out, but I shouldn't be bummed out, because in reality, who cares? But it is what it is. But yeah, I will update you guys when that interview is complete. So yeah, I will see you guys in a bit. All right, interview is done. It was just the basic, I was stressing for no reason. It was the basic, just HR, tell me about yourself. What's your experience? I forgot to mention all the side projects, and I've actually had paying users from it, so that might hurt me a little bit, but I just super basic. But then he said, after this, it's an interview with the software engineering manager, and then a 90-minute technical screen, which, if I had to guess, I'm almost certain that's going to be leak code, which is just absolutely fantastic. And then one more meeting, which I can't remember what he said, but it was something probably just probably a group meeting, I imagine, and then you're just kind of seeing how you fit in with the team, and more questions, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know what the purpose of that third one is, but then it's the offer. So it's the HR one I just did, software engineering manager, 90-minute technical screen, final interview, and then an offer, which is surprising because that's actually not that bad compared to some of the other ones. And honestly, the pay range for this is pretty good, so I don't want to complain about it. But yeah, now I'm not really worried about the interviews that aren't leak code. Maybe some of the technical questions they could ask would be a little bit weird, depending on what they ask, if it's relevant to what I've done or not. But if it's I'm gonna have to do leak code. I'm gonna definitely ask before, if I even make it that far. I'm gonna ask if what the structure is. Is it gonna be leak code style? I want specifics because I need to know what to prepare for. But I probably won't know until I get through this next one with the other manager. So, anyways, I'm gonna probably end the video here. I don't know if I'm gonna have any more updates because I'm just going to try my best to get a lot of the Stripe stuff done tonight, and then make sure these clips are uploaded for me to edit it tomorrow. So if there's no clips after this, then that is it. But yeah, appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week. I don't know if will have a video next week, actually. I might be because I'm another week where I won't be here. February has been a busy month, but there'll be another video. I'm not giving up either next week or the week after. All right, see you guys later.